and it's supposed to be the most sophisticated shock Fox has ever built. But does it feel any different on the trails? Well, we're gonna find out the hard way. It's quite a bit of oil, like to the point I actually want to kind of clean it up. In the Fox setup guide, it says do not use degreaser because it may damage the stickers. So this is heavy duty orange degreaser, and it does a really good job at cleaning up oil. It doesn't look like too much of a change for the compression knob. So what that means is you need to carry a tool on the trail. The rebound adjuster is a little bit difficult to get your dick beaters on. You actually got to use a 2.5mm tool. So it's probably a design constraint because of the monotube system. So I've watched quite a few videos on the new Fox Float X2 and it's like monotube, monotube, to monotube, to monotube, monotube. So just because Fox can't get a twin tube shock right doesn't mean twin tube shocks are bad. The best shocks in the world are twin tube. The air filling procedure on the new Fox Float X2 is a little bit more involved than the previous model, and it kind of reminds me of the Öhlins air shock. It's a little bit difficult to get those two chambers equalized. So basically inside of the instructions, it tells you to depress the shock 10 to 20 times every 50 PSI, and that is actually true. Different. I'm getting my broken tooth consultation done. I've been toothless for like a year, and that's why I switched to all voiceover. So it's gonna be brand new X2 back there and brand new trail system. So I gotta focus on driving because this is a stick shift. So this place is called Fear and Loaming. I wanted to come here for a long time. It's like a shuttle DH trail. Hopefully it's not out of my league because I got stitches in my foot and I'm all alone. So once I got the bike off the car, I'm super grateful that Fox made a black stanchion. Like, look, it actually matches the black Fox 38. So remember, I sprayed this off with degreaser and it's still an oily mess just from cycling it. So the climb switch does not lock the shock out, but it definitely makes it firmer. So basically I have to remember which fork is on here. This is the MRP fork. And it makes a lot of noise. And the new X2, it is brand new. Sometimes when they break in, you ride them for a little bit. The noise will start later, but it seems completely silent for now. So I just had a moment, I was like, I better make sure I have the stuff to adjust this shock because it is brand new. So 1 point for RockShox, 1 point off for Fox. Just so you know, the Rocky Mountain is a very inefficient climber. This is a bobbing kind of bike, and I'm trying to pretend like it's an Amish bike. Let me turn the motor off. It's actually an outstanding shock in the climbing department. Middle rebound, middle compression, everything's double checked. About halfway up this vicious road climb, I dropped into the trail not knowing what to expect, so I was just basically taking my time, but it was a really good feeling straight out of the new X2. Typically, because of my heavy weight, air shocks can feel a little bit harsh, but this one seems to be the exception because it feels like absolute butter. Unfortunately, the lower half of the trail was a little bit disappointing, and while I was running out of daylight, I came up with an idea. Running out of daylight, so I'm gonna self-shuttle up to the point that I dropped in on the trail and then e-bike up to the very top. But the first impression of that shock was pretty impressive, and I kind of wish I would have just got the coil shock first because I'm planning on keeping the new DHX2. Now this is a steep grade. In full turbo, I basically overheated the motor. Fortunately, the top half of this trail lives up to its reputation. A technical, pretty steep, loamy trail that's pretty inaccessible unless you're on a shuttle rig. The Fox Float X2 was really showing its good side in the most chunkiest of the trail had to offer. Now this does come with a compromise we'll talk about later. Ooh. After a seriously vicious road climb, I was not looking forward to more trail climbing, but fortunately the new X2 is an absolutely outstanding climber. Now this bicycle, the Rocky Mountain Altitude, is notorious for pedal strikes. The new damper in the Fox Float X2 is keeping that shock up in the travel, and I had no pedal strikes. Okay, definitely don't deserve this for e-biking, but that was an incredible experience with the new X2. It's a very rare experience that straight out of the gate, the suspension was phenomenal, and that was about the gnarliest kind of trails I want to ride as far as steep and everything. So the damper is definitely 30% improved, and I'll talk about that in a second. The air spring is 20% improved. In my opinion, the climb lever is 100% working better. It is actually quite a bit stiffer and it's more effective. I actually did this jump with it halfway on because there's no tokens inside of my X2. I was very pleased with the experience, but there's always compromises. This shock still is very sluggish. What do I mean by sluggish? Basically, when I'm riding down that super technical trail, it feels very predictable and slow moving, but on the more mellow trails, it doesn't like to get moving so fast. And I do believe that's because of that massive stanchion on there. So I do believe the biggest problems are fixed with this. I was basically expecting that shock to fail on me, but if we think back, it only took them like 10 years and hopefully they got this one right. Now, the major problem with the old Fox Float X2 and the DHX2 was the rebound would crosstalk into the compression. So this wasn't as noticeable on the old Fox Float X2, the air shock, but on the coil shock, the DHX2, it was very, very pronounced for my heavy weight. If I moved the rebound too fast, basically the shock would bottom out super hard. With every adjuster in the middle today, I was super impressed by the performance, and I didn't have any like spiking harsh bottom outs with the rebound in a pretty fast setting. 100% the new X2 is definitely friendly to big guys, like 255 PSI. To get 30% sag, I weigh 220 pounds or 100 kilograms. So that is a very good thing for the big boys. Very confident shock in the chunky trails today. I haven't spent a ton of time on it, but 100% it's better than a DHX. Now let's put this into perspective. That shock's like $700 and I got the DHX for $200. So every shock's got its problem. If we look at the Otter play score, which is the most important thing to me, the X2 is not gonna go into my quiver because it's sluggish. I would rather ride normal mellow trails so I can just be an ADD surfer down the trails. Now I very much respect the new Fox Float X2. It's very similar to the Öhlins. I think it's an outstanding shock, and especially if you're racing, going for times, or riding really technical terrain. All the suspension in my movies comes from Jensen USA, even if it's not on sale, because they have the best sale rack in the world. So click the link in the first comment if you're picking one up, and click this video on your screen to see all about the AirShock ranking video, because I haven't decided where to put the new X2 yet.